Wasn't there a scriptural reference from the 37 practices of a bodhisattva yesterday? Didn't recite it, right? But I don't have the lineage, so it's okay not to recite. It seems like I recited it, but also like I didn't. Let me check again. Karawageshi said, the true nature is unproduced, naturally free from the four extremes. Knowing this, without conceptual elaboration, one should abandon all clinging thoughts. Today, in our discussion of the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, we are talking about abandoning the grasping at reality towards objects of anger. All sufferings are like the death of a child in a dream. Being deluded, we take them as real and become exhausted by this fixation. Therefore, when encountering adverse conditions, view them as illusions. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Unpleasant enemies as well as demons and the like, and also some forms that are displeasing to us, forms in the outside world that we find disagreeable, as well as harsh sounds that we hear and so on, whether these are sufferings themselves or the causes of suffering, all sorts of objects we do not wish to encounter when they appear before our minds. At that time, we should not become especially angry. In fact, if these verses are applied in our actual conduct, truly in our daily lives sometimes, we encounter adverse conditions or are harmed by spirits and demons, or we see some people's behavior that is not in accordance with the Dharma, or we hear harsh slander, all kinds of words and speech. Whenever in this human world we experience various kinds of displeasure, what should we do? It is like having a son in a dream, and then after he dies feeling the pain of that loss. To take the deluded appearances of suffering and so on as real is truly exhausting, or it brings fatigue and pain. If we become especially attached to things in a dream, like my child is born, ha ha ha, and then after a while he gets sick and dies, then you cry out, wah! And if that's the case, a wise person would say, there was never a son born in the dream. So it's impossible for him to die in the end. You are being too foolish to think otherwise. Therefore, when you encounter such unpleasant adverse conditions, do not think, this enemy is so hateful, and take it as something real. You should regard all of these things as nothing more than deluded appearances. From the perspective of their true nature, they should not be established as real. This is what all bodhisattvas do as a way to completely eliminate the grasping at reality in the face of objects of anger. As for the objects of anger, didn't we already discuss this earlier? Every time you encounter some adverse conditions, every time you see such things, you should recognize that these are like a dream, like an illusion. In fact, seeing things as like a dream or an illusion is truly a very good method of practice. But I don't know if we can actually do it. The previous verse and this verse explain that. Yesterday I mentioned at the end of the previous verse, was something missing or what? Actually, it's right here. Because attachment and anger have quite a few similarities, so it seems the author didn't leave anything out. He combined the scriptural references at the end of these two verses and explained them together. The previous verse and this verse explain that afterwards one should eliminate the solid grasping of the objects that give rise to attachment and anger and practice seeing them like a rainbow in the sky. Because when it comes to the objects of attachment mentioned earlier, we see them as a summer rainbow. Wow, it's so beautiful, but it also disappears in an instant. Then here, for the objects of anger, we practice in a way that sees them as like a dream, like an illusion, rainbows and the dreamlike, illusory nature. Yes, for the objects of anger, we practice by seeing them as dreamlike and illusory. For the objects of attachment, we practice by seeing them like a summer rainbow. Now, regarding the meaning of this principle, it is stated in the King of Samadhi Sutra. The colors conjured by a magician, horses, elephants, chariots, and all sorts of things, all appear but do not truly exist. In the same way, view all phenomena. In the King of Samadhi Sutra, it says that the magician conjures up these things, all sorts of forms he creates. Elephants, horses, chariots. Just like in movies or on television nowadays, all kinds of phenomena appear on the screen. They do appear to exist, but in reality they do not truly exist. In the same way, we should view all phenomena like a woman who in a dream sees herself give birth to a child and then sees the child die. She feels joy at the birth and sorrow at the death. In the same way, view all phenomena. This is just like what was mentioned earlier. Giving birth to a child in a dream. The Avatamsaka Sutra also uses such an analogy. She's extremely happy at the birth and deeply saddened when the child dies. In the same way, many of the gains and losses in our real lives are just like this. For example, when we win an award today, we feel so happy. Like recently, we gave everyone an award for writing a diary for a year. But actually, there's nothing to be that happy about. It's just like giving birth to a child in a dream. After a while, it's gone. Just kidding, yes, this is absolutely real. But if we were to look into it more closely and examine the details in every class, it seems that not even 50% of people actually write. There aren't many who do. There are some, right? Persistence. Actually, persistence is very important. No matter what it is, I've also been thinking, when I first started writing a diary, it felt really unnatural. I started in 2017. But if you keep at it, later on, it just becomes a habit. It's like not having eaten a meal. Oh, if I didn't write today, I have to make it up tomorrow. This includes my translation work as well. There are some things that everyone perhaps needs to do for themselves. Things that they feel are meaningful. Persistence is very important. But at the beginning, we do have the motivation. Some people just don't have enough perseverance to keep going. For example, those who took the exam of presentation classes, they were actually doing quite well at first. But after 2 or 3 years, they couldn't keep it up and dropped out. Some tutors were actually very good to begin with too. If they had just persisted for a few more years, they probably would have made it. But in the end, they still couldn't hold on. There were obstacles in their own lives, mental barriers, and issues from various aspects. So it's true that for each person, whether in daily life or in study and practice, there are some things that require persistence. Westerners in particular place a great emphasis on what they call perseverance. Whenever they give speeches, some people always say, you have to be strong yourself. You have to stick with it and not give up. These are things they especially like. Actually, there's some truth to this. In Buddhism, this is called perseverance. It means to be diligent and make continuous effort without interruption. There is diligent effort with respect, and there is also constant, ongoing diligence. So maintaining constant diligence is also very important. I'm not sure what aspect I was talking about just now. Yes, after some time, when we look back, even for those of us who gave presentations and exams, for those who have persisted, I still want to give them something. As for giving something out, whether it's something real or not, whether it's like a dream or an illusion, it's fine either way. For now, everyone still feels a kind of joy, right? That's fine too. It's also a form of recognition. It's also recognition from the monastic community. We think every time I draw lots for the oral exam, I just mark A, B, C, D. This time I'm preparing to give a reward to those who receive an A rating. These people will get a prize. Then those individuals with grades B, C, D, E, or F will not receive anything at all. Just kidding, there are only A, B, C, and D. D is quite rare. It's basically A, B, and C. C is also pretty rare indeed. There are many more B's and A's. I truly want to give something special to those exceptional individuals who have successfully drawn an A in the challenging oral examination. Some people haven't been picked even once in over 10 years. That's a bit of a pity. Now they all feel like they'll never get picked. It's been 10 years and still nothing. So some people just think, I'll never be chosen. But despite everything, they still persist in coming every single time. That's actually quite endearing. It's not that I don't pick them, it's just their circumstances. With so many names I draw every day, but some people just never get picked. There are also some who get picked 2 or 3 times. Next, let's talk about how, although forms and such phenomena have no real substance, they each appear distinctly. It's just like the illusion of a horse, an elephant, or the appearances in a dream. As it's also said in the way of the Bodhisattva, the reality grasped by the ignorant, how is it any different from an illusion? What the ignorant cling to, whether it's in our current real life, be it emotions, wealth, or status, in this world, truly, sometimes when we see these people, we do feel a bit sorry for them. But sometimes we ourselves also get attached. However, for those who have studied Mahayana Buddhism, even though they get attached if they do, it's probably just a little bit less intense, perhaps even slightly milder. Next, it clearly states, like a person who vividly dreams their beloved child has tragically died, and in that very dream they profoundly know they have absolutely no child at all. This can dispel the thought of having a child, but that dispelling is also illusory. This is from the wisdom chapter of the Way of the Bodhisattva. This is the same meaning as before. If you dream that your child has died, you feel pain. Then later you think, I don't have a child. If you have this thought, the mind that dispels the pain is also illusory. If, during meditation, you intensely practice the realization of emptiness, then afterwards all appearances will naturally seem dreamlike and illusory. When we usually enter meditation, we often practice very intensely and strongly, cultivating emptiness and compassion. If we do this, then afterwards, some phenomena will naturally appear dreamlike and illusory. So we should often enter meditation in our daily lives, meditating when we get up in the morning and before going to bed at night, and meditating whenever we have a little free time during the day. If we do this, our minds will gradually become more gentle and flexible. Of course, you still need to persevere yourself. And when you persist, it's not that you have no teachings or instructions at all. Just sitting there by yourself without any guidance won't work either. You still need to contemplate, for example, impermanence and death, or other topics. Actually, contemplating impermanence and death is quite easy. Quite recently, I have learned that there is a revered Lama living very near to us, who not so very long ago was actually I heard he had stayed at the Institute for nearly 20 years. And had just completed the 5-year advanced program and was about to receive his graduation certificate. But at that time, someone asked him to give a Dharma teaching, but he said, "I'm not going. This time I want to do a 7-day retreat." So during his 7-day retreat, on the last day, he passed away wearing his cloak just like that, leaving this world. A little blood flowed from his nose. We didn't know if it was his liver or some other cause. Later on the day we were giving out awards, he had just passed away, so his prize, his family said, we should still accept it. Sometimes life is truly impermanent. He kept working hard, and just as he was about to receive his graduation certificate, not an award, he passed away right when he was about to get his diploma. That's why we say, who knows who will die tomorrow? If we often contemplate the impermanence of death, it seems our attachment to this present life won't be so strong. Some of us are really, really attached to this life, and that attachment is truly incredibly strong. If we regularly contemplate death and impermanence and reflect on the suffering of samsara, then especially if we contemplate this while meditating, of course, whether in meditation or out of meditation, here the meditation being referred to is the state of emptiness. But in our daily life, it's the same. When you are meditating, you can contemplate death and impermanence. You can reflect on the rarity of human life, for you can contemplate your own innate mind nature in this way. The power you gain after coming out of meditation will truly help you realize the dreamlike and illusory nature of things, and you won't be so. In the past, His Holiness would often say that for those who have even a slight realization of Dzogchen, afflictive emotions still exist. But these afflictions are like a spring breeze. They are not very cold. They're not like the biting wind of winter, so piercing. That's what it means. If the realization attained in meditation is weak, then even after meditation you must still rely on deliberate mindfulness and recollection and practice viewing all appearances as illusory and lacking true existence. Not only that, by meditating on emptiness during the time of absorption, afterwards you will also develop compassion for sentient beings and gain genuine faith in cause and effect. As a result, merit and positive qualities will naturally accumulate. As mentioned earlier, spiritual practice is indeed very important. In addition, Atisha also said that when objects of attachment or aversion appear, view them as illusions. When an object that arouses desire appears, or when an object that provokes anger appears, for example, when you see some people who are particularly unpleasant to you, or when you see people dozing off in class, just think, oh, this is truly like a fleeting dream, like an ephemeral illusion. A person who is gently dozing off in a peaceful dream, you absolutely shouldn't give rise to any anger or hatred at all. Geshe Potoa also said, after arising from meditation, when all phenomena appear before the mind's deluded and discursive thoughts like a dream or an illusion, do not cling to any of them. Act like an illusionist, free from attachment. Venerable Sharawa said, when you arise from meditation, engage in all virtuous actions such as generosity and all other good deeds, guided by wisdom and great compassion. When you come out of meditation, because when we're in meditation we can't really do these things, so when we come out of meditation, we should be guided by wisdom and great compassion. And then do a bit of giving, recite scriptures or use a prayer wheel. Actually, most of us are really doing quite well. This is something that deserves to be recognized. Many people say that in terms of our spiritual practice, each of us is relatively diligent. After coming here, we haven't been constantly distracted, nor have we been excessively engaging in wild or unruly behavior. Basically, none of that has happened. That's also very good. Therefore, the main thing is to accumulate the merit and resources of virtue. Harawa Geshe also gave such teachings. All phenomena are like dreams and illusions. There is not a single truly existent thing. Everything appears from emptiness, so do not become overly attached. In fact, all phenomena are inherently like dreams and illusions. There is no need to cling to them. Moreover, we should abide in such a state. Although the ultimate reality does not truly exist, just like in a dream, cause and effect still operate. The illusory results of karma are never deceptive. In ultimate reality, all phenomena are empty in nature. However, the cause and effect that are like dreams and illusions, though illusory and unreal, still exist without deception. Didn't Venerable Longchenpa also say that day, in the wish-fulfilling treasury, some ignorant and narrow-minded people claim that the objects of samsara do not exist at all. But that is unreasonable. If that were the case, then nothing in reality should exist at all. Therefore, in our actual lives, samsara exists, and so does karma and its effects. There are also hell realms and hungry ghosts. And indeed, if we commit negative actions, we will fall into these places. This is how it is in the ultimate sense. Ultimately, reality is not established, but the cause and effect that are like dreams and illusions, and the choices we make within them, are still necessary. Therefore, we should abandon evil and diligently practice virtue. Venerable Langri Tangpa also said, understanding that all phenomena are like illusions frees us from the bonds of attachment and grasping. Venerable Rinchen Gönpa also said, indeed, if one is bound by the knot of true existence, the two accumulations will not arise. If we are bound by the knot of attachment to true existence, then wisdom and the accumulation of merit will not arise. Being free from attachment to apparent phenomena is important, like an illusion. We accumulate merit and listen to Dharma when we do many virtuous deeds. We understand in their nature things are free from elaborations. In appearance they are like dream illusion, yet accumulations are dream illusion, they still exist. When we discussed the way of the Bodhisattva, we said that in order to attain the dreamlike and illusory fruit of Buddhahood, we must liberate sentient beings who are like a dream or an illusion, accumulate merit that is like a dream or an illusion, and eliminate obstacles that are like a dream or an illusion. The present qualities are also like a dream or an illusion. Eliminating this and that and so on, all are like a dream or an illusion, right? Although all these things appear but are not truly existent, they still exist nonetheless. Chakawa Rinpoche said, during meditation, practice seeing everything as illusory. Abiding in meditative absorption, everything is within emptiness. Then during the post-meditation period, you know what I mean, right? Later, when class is over, don't cling too strongly to things as real. Eating, don't grasp at things as truly existent. It's the same when you get up in the morning. I am within a dream-like illusion. What is there to attach to in any conduct, in any posture, walking, standing, or sitting? One needs to remain inseparable from the experience of meditative absorption. The experience of meditative absorption is emptiness, free from elaborations. This experience and state, not separated from them, one should, like a magician, recognize the lack of true existence. A magician himself certainly knows that what he conjures is his own creation. The above explains the post-meditation practice of perceiving all as illusion. Furthermore, the Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo himself also said, in post-meditation, all appearances are like illusions. Once you realize their appearance yet lack of true existence, without attachment you engage in benefiting others. This is the post-meditation practice of the ultimate mind. The meaning of ultimate bodhicitta is like this. All appearances are like illusions, and these appearances have no true existence. Without any attachment, you still work to benefit others. Sometimes we are like this. We think there's no need to benefit others or do anything at all, since everything is like a dream or illusion, but that's not right either. This is the method of practice during post-meditation. In post-meditation, however, the conventional world appears. You recognize its appearance, yet lack of true existence, and diligently practice the 10 virtues with body, speech, and mind. Actually, this is very important. During post-meditation, appearances are also like dreams and illusions, but within such appearances, one must still diligently uphold the 10 virtues with body, speech, and mind, and practice in this way.
Om Bandhangara Padma Sada. Om Bandhangara Padma Sada.